What's going on, everybody? We are live. Happy Friday. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day, fantastic night, fantastic afternoon, whatever you want to call it. We got some big news coming through. Mo Bamba is out. We've been waiting on that news, so that's going to be exciting. We have some more value opening up with a Robin Lopez and Okiki becoming much better plays now in that fast up-tempo game. Well, the question is going to be whether that one can stay close or not. Kind of a larger spread between Charlotte and Orlando, but we did just get that Mo Bamba news, so that is that's some big news, big part of the slate. Good to know, has them coming on, because honestly, I was going to say we really need that news, and now we have it. So fantastic. As we go along this game-by-game breakdown, we will know. I'm also going to be giving out some parlay play picks on the channel tonight. I have 2 parlay play picks for you guys to multiply your money by 10x. Every 10 likes, I'll be giving one out. If you haven't signed up for Parlay Play, check them out using the promo code KJK003. You can get an instant match deposit up to $50. You also get a risk-free $10 when you sign up today. You can do that by clicking the link down below or using that code. But yeah, guys, let's get into the breakdown. We have a 9-gamer. We just got that big news, Mo Bamba. That is some very big news, so good to know. I probably should refresh my stuff here. Hopefully that news is reflected on the screen. And then we'll be able to roll here. We got confirmation there's no Malcolm Brogdon as well. There's some other injury news that's been coming through. So we will talk about it as we're going along here. That's going to be a big bump up to a Karis LeVert. And there's no Cam Johnson as well. So more solidified minutes for Jay Crowder, who's been getting a lot of ownership as of late, but will continue to play a large role. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it as we go along here, guys. If you're enjoying the content, hit that like button. If you have any questions in the chat, please ask them. I will gladly answer them. We're going to talk about DraftKings first, then we'll switch on over to FanDuel. And without further ado, let's get into the breakdown here. So we got Orlando taking on Charlotte. This game going to be a very fast, up-tempo one. We did just get confirmation there is no Mo Bamba. That is a big piece of news. That's going to make Robin Lopez, Mo Wagner, and Chuma Okiki get a lot more run. Specifically, Robin Lopez, Chuma Okiki, we're going to be taking a lot harder look to here. It's going to be a very fast, up-paced game. We saw Robin Lopez in his first game back last time play 31 minutes. That was on the 12th. He got a day off. Now he should be good to go again to play those upper 30 minutes, considering that was his first game back from the health and safety protocols, and he was able to go 30+. I'd imagine he'd be able to do it again, if not more. So he's going to be a fantastic value play on this slate now. Big priority for me going forward, because we didn't really have much value, and now he's arguably the top value play in the slate. Fantastic play. Going to have a lot of interest overall in this game. The only thing that I will mention is that Suggs is returning in this one for Orlando, so that's going to be a little bit of a cut into the rotation. He is going to play limited minutes off the bench, which is mainly going to affect the guys that come off the bench. So that's going to be a Terrence Ross. I don't really think he's going to get quite as few minutes and not quite as much run. RJ Hampton is going to be affected a little bit. But with Mo Bamba being out, that does open up a little bit more minutes naturally for a Terrence Ross, a RJ Hampton, a Mo Wagner. So considering that Jalen Suggs is playing limited minutes, a Gary Harris can play a lot of run as well. So that's something to take note of here. But this game environment is just going to be fantastic. Comes in with a 223.5 over-under. It was already an 11-point spread in favor of Charlotte. I wonder with the Mo Bamba news if that line goes up even more here. But regardless, really fast, up-paced game that you're going to want to be targeting. And certainly willing to get some exposure to both sides of this game. So it starts with the Orlando side. The Charlotte side, there is no Kelly Oubre still, which doesn't seem like the biggest piece of news. But when you look at the rotation, this rotation's so deep, and Kelly Oubre was playing 24, 27 minutes, and those have to go somewhere. So those minutes have really been solidified, going to guys like a Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward. PJ Washington's kind of more of a versatile play, depending upon the production and the foul trouble that we get out of a Mason Plumlee. So I do think that PJ Washington and Mason Plumlee are both good options to be going to on the slate as well tonight. I just wouldn't be playing them in the same lineup because they are pretty negatively correlated. Both are cheap, though, so you could, but I just really don't think it's the smartest thing to be doing. If you're going to a PJ Washington, you're kind of hoping for that foul trouble. And Terrence Ross, surprisingly, going to sound a little bit weird, but I feel like with that Mo Bamba news actually becomes a better play, because I was really concerned about him losing some minutes here, losing some usage with Jalen Suggs returning. Now you take Mo Bamba out of the game. I kind of think they can go small off the bench. When you look at the guys that come off the bench for Charlotte, Cody Martin, PJ Washington, Jalen McDaniels is a big, I guess. So once again, Mo Wagner can see some more minutes. But I think that kind of might give Terrence Ross, not maybe 3 more minutes or so, which is kind of a big deal. So certainly don't mind that. And running it back, I love all the pieces in this game. This slate we're going to talk about, there's some games that really stand out. This is certainly one of it. LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, those 4 guys really playing solidified minutes. P.J. Washington, a little bit more of a versatile play. Same can be said for Mason Plumlee, but they're still viable. Cody Martin, versatile play that could pay off for you in your tournaments. So I will certainly be getting a lot of exposure to this game. I would recommend that you guys do the same. And we didn't really have a lot of value before. Now Robin Lopez becomes one of the top values on the slate with Mo Bamba being ruled out. So certainly going to be getting a lot of exposure to him. I would recommend that you do the same on this slate tonight. Second game on the slate, we have Toronto taking on Detroit. This game, as far as a total, comes in right now with a 212.5 over-under with a 9.5 point spread in favor of the Toronto Raptors. So expected to not exactly be the closest game. The biggest pieces of news we're waiting on this one, and they are big pieces of news, is Gary Trent Jr. and Scotty Barnes. Gary Trent didn't practice Thursday, and he's questionable. That doesn't sound too promising. I would anticipate that he's probably going to be out here. Scotty Barnes, on the other hand, is listed as a true questionable. Missed Tuesday's matchup. If he sits out, we're going to see Kem Birch get back in the starting lineup. I kind of am anticipating that Scotty Barnes plays and Gary Trent doesn't. That's kind of my lean right now. If that's the case, that's going to be a bump up to a Yuta Wannabe and a Svi Mikhailuk. Svi, last time out, as far as his overall minutes, with there being no Gary Trent, went out there and played 7 minutes, though. So can be a little bit unpredictable with this Raptors rotation. It's really going to depend upon the matchup, and I would certainly be keeping your eyes on the starting lineup, because the Raptors really like to get their starting lineup those solidified minutes. So if this news comes out and the starters are ruled in, we'll kind of have more of an idea. Also positional. I mean, Gary Trent's a guard, obviously. Scotty Barnes is more of a forward. So it'll be more minutes to Chris Boucher, Kem Birch, Precious Achiawa if there's no Scotty Barnes. If Gary Trent misses, it's going to be more minutes to Svi Mikhailuk, Yuta Wannabe, Malachi Flynn, etc. So that's kind of what you're waiting to in this game. This game overall is just really not a good game environment. I really don't have a lot of interest in it. I mean, you could play as Cade Cunningham at 7.6. He's certainly priced reasonable for his upside. So if you want to run it back with Cade Cunningham, I wouldn't call you crazy, but we just have so many other games on the slate that are higher paced games, more usage to go around, more possessions throughout the game. So I'm going to be really targeting the faster paced games, and this one's just not one of them. Mainly going to be targeting the Raptors side if we do get confirmation on some of those injuries. So Phoenix taking on Indiana is the next game on the slate. Before I get there, I want to make sure I'm answering these questions in the chat. Josh, welcome in. Mitch Dad says, you like DeMar and Anunoby tonight? Yeah, I think Anunoby's pretty decent. DeMar, yeah, no issues. Not really high on those guys. You think Okiki is a good play? Yes, I do. Now that there's no Mo Bamba, I think that Okiki and Robin Lopez become pretty intriguing values. So both those guys going to be good plays. Phoenix taking on Indiana is the next game on the slate as far as the total in this one. This game comes in with a 219.5 over-under with a 5.5 point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. We did just get confirmation there's no Cam Johnson. That should solidify the minutes a little bit more for Cameron Payne, Landry Shamet, Jalen Smith. Jay Crowder specifically is a guy that's been getting a lot of attention lately, as he should. I mean, the minutes are just really solidified with him when there's no Cam Johnson. He played 35 minutes last time out, put up 35 DraftKings points. That was kind of a ceiling, more towards his ceiling type of game for him, but out of 4.9 price tag, he's still certainly capable of going out there and putting up the high 20s. Pretty easily here, so I would say he's still going to be a valid play as long as there is indeed no Cam Johnson, which there isn't. We already got confirmation on that. So certainly would be willing to go to a Jay Crowder. As far as anyone else in this game, Karis LeVert's going to really pop for me now that there is indeed no Malcolm Brogdon. He's going to turn into the point guard here. His first game last time out, he played 29 minutes, so he should get his minutes ramped back up, I would think, and his price tag is 8.3. So I think that he's a pretty intriguing play that maybe some people don't quite jump on yet because they're scared to go there. But there still is no Malcolm Brogdon. That could also make a Chris Duarte off the bench a little bit interesting. His price tag, he's only 4.5. Should get some more minutes, I tend to think, with there being no Malcolm Brogdon off the bench. Still dealing with some other guys cutting into his usage a little bit with all these guys being back. You have Kiefer Sykes, Justin Holiday, Torrey Craig's expected to be in this one. So it's not as if I'm getting real excited about this game, but I'm just trying to list some pivots. If you want to go here at some lower ownership, those guys could make some sense. But overall, not really too intrigued. We're going to talk about it. But really trying to load up on a few of these games on this slate. And this is not one of them. We talked about that Orlando Magic and Charlotte Hornets game. That's certainly one. Next couple games we're going to talk about, not really. Boston taking on Philly. Once again, really not too intrigued to be going here. It's the lowest total on the slate, I believe. It's a 207.5 over-under. Yeah, there's no other game that's that low on the slate, so that's an automatic red flag, obviously. You don't want to really be playing a ton of guys from the lowest total on the slate. The only thing that's a little bit interesting in this game, I guess you could say, is there continues to be no Marcus Smart, so Dennis Schroeder is going to step up and get some more minutes, more usage. And we did just get confirmation Gary Trent Jr. is out. So right after I cover that Toronto Raptors game, we get the news. Gary Trent Jr. is indeed out. So Scotty Barnes, a game-time decision. Once again, my lean here is that Scotty Barnes plays. Gary Trent Jr. I was anticipating to be out. So keep your eyes on who's going to start in that Toronto Raptors lineup. That'll go a long way towards determining who we're really looking to go to and target. Svi Mikhailuk, Udowannabe become interesting. Overall, though, still, I kind of think that just gives more of a bump up to a Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. Those other guys are dart throws you can be going to. I'm going to have to be updating my projections as we're going along the stream here. Maybe I can give some feedback to you guys, but with all this news coming in, there's definitely going to be some changes to my projections than what they were before the stream because we got news on that Mo Bamba stuff. We just got news on the Gary Trent Jr. So obviously a lot of these guys are going to take a big bump up, and we can talk about that as we round things up and I'm answering your questions. But, yeah, certainly some things changing as we're going along here on this slate tonight. But Dennis Schroeder, going to be the main guy that I'm looking to target in this game if I'm going to anyone. Once again, really slow-paced game. I don't think it really is smart to be getting too much exposure here. But if you want to, it would be Dennis Schroeder for me. Other than that, not too interested. And the same can be said on the other side. Tyrese Maxey, the starting point guard now, with there being indeed no more Shake Milton. And Seth Curry's been banged up as well. Seth Curry's back, but... Tyrese Maxey, I mean, he returned in his first game back and played a maximum amount of minutes against a Charlotte Hornets team that's terrible defensively, and he only put up 19 DraftKings points. Like I had mentioned him in my last breakdown, but he really just was a really big letdown. So hopefully he comes back and is good to go. And actually produces a little bit more. I mean, I'd be really happy with that minute output that we saw last game, if indeed he's able to get back up to those allotment of minutes again, which I would anticipate that he does. But overall, Tyrese Maxey, a little bit risky. You could certainly be going there in your tournament lineups. Wouldn't mind it at a 5-6 price tag. Other than that, in this game, I'm not getting too intrigued. I mean, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid does pay-up options. Why would I want to go there in a game with such a low total? It doesn't really make sense to be doing so to me, so that's going to be a no for me. And as far as anywhere else in this game, like I said, slow-paced game. There's a lot of other games on the slate that are much better game environments. Why do I want to be going here when I can be going to those games? So that's going to be my approach in this one. Moving further along, taking off the Boston-Philly game, going on to the Golden State Warriors-Chicago game. This game is going to be a little bit interesting because some of these guys are actually popping for us with the Golden State Warriors dealing with some injuries. There's no Draymond Green. There's no Klay Thompson. So for that reason, there's going to be more usage to go around. There's also no Gary Payton, no James Wiseman. He's been out for quite some time, but still. There should be more minutes, more usage to be going around for these Golden State Warriors. So they're actually kind of popping for me. My favorite plays would be Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. Their price tags have really taken a fall now, and you remove Gary Payton, you remove Klay Thompson. They're going to get a lot more usage and a lot more minutes, and their upside is going to be a lot higher than what their price tags have become. So I do think that Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins are my two favorite options in this game. I certainly think that it's worth taking a risk on those guys in tournaments. Lonzo Ball's price is very friendly over here on the DraftKings slate. 6,600. I mean, certainly would be willing to take advantage of that. I think he has a lot more upside than that in this spot. So I'd be willing to go there. The other big piece of news that we have is Derrick Jones Jr. is going to continue to be out for Chicago. So Troy Brown, Alfonso McKinney should see more run. Those guys could become interesting punt plays if you want to go there. Alfonso McKinney is the bare minimum salary at $3K on DraftKings. Troy Brown Jr., looking at his price tag right now, is priced at $3.2. So, I mean, both guys priced very reasonably, especially Troy Brown Jr. He's a pretty good fantasy point producer if he's going to get this many more minutes. Certainly some value opening up. But the Golden State Warriors side specifically, going to get some more bumps up here. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and then I do think that Stephen Curry is a viable pay-up option finally. We've really seen him take a hit to his usage with all these guys being back. He hasn't been shooting the ball well at all. His price tag has fallen down from 11.2 to 10.6 now, though. So if there was ever a time to be targeting a Stephen Curry, I do think that this is the time. And for that reason, going to be having quite a bit of interest in him for sure. And yeah, you could be stacking this game up a little bit, honestly. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, they're all negatively correlated, but they've all seen their price tags really fall down here. They're going to have a lot more upside for these price tags. And if you want to go there, certainly do think it makes sense. Atlanta taking on Miami's the next game. We're running on the Jimmy Butler news. That's obviously a very big piece of news if he is indeed ruled in. That's going to obviously impact this Miami Heat rotation and usage in quite a large amount. So Jimmy Butler is a big piece of news. He could be one of the top tournament plays on the slate. I always say that, like when a guy's questionable and you don't really know if he's going to play and people are scared to play him, you could go ahead and play a Jimmy Butler, who's a guy that's possibly could go out there and put up like 50 fantasy points. And if he does, you're looking very, very good in your tournament lineups. So I do think that Jimmy Butler is going to be a phenomenal tournament option on this slate. Outside of that, looking on the other side, I'm not too excited to be targeting this game overall. DeAndre Hunter, we saw him return last time out. He's still really cheap, and he played quite a bit of minutes for his price tag at only a 3-4 price tag. Last time out, he played 24 minutes. If we see his minutes continue to climb in this one, and his usage, I mean, this could be a phenomenal spot against against a Miami team at only a 3-4 price tag. He just has a lot more upside than that, especially if we see him able to get up there towards like the upper 20s in minutes. He could be maybe a sneaky play that some people are kind of scared to go to. So for that reason, I do think that he's a pretty good play here. And then as far as anyone else in this game, though, I'm not really intrigued too much. Outside of we are going to see Okongwu get the start again at a 4-8 price tag. He's been one of the top value play centers on the last couple slates, and he will continue to be as long as there is no Clint Capella and he's getting this allotment of minutes. He did see his minutes tank last time, though. His price tags come up. He went from 38 minutes to 24 minutes. Now, granted, that game was a blowout, so I really don't think this is a huge change. You'd want to be likely to start for the Raptors tonight, so that's the latest piece of news that just came in, guys. And but yeah, I don't think that Okongwu quite gets the 38 minutes probably in this one, but I still think I don't know. He could get the 38 minutes. He has upside for it. I still think he plays right around 30 minutes, if not more. And for that reason, he's going to be a great value. Robin Lopez is certainly going to be a better value in a much better game environment. Expected to definitely get some minutes with there being no Mo Bamba. But I still would be willing to go there, especially if people are scared off him. Yurtsevin on the other side, taking on an Atlanta front court that's banged up with no Capella, certainly would be a great option. With the Miami Heat continuing to be without Bam Adebayo, this guy definitely has a lot of upside for his price tag, so I wouldn't be scared to go here again. And yeah, he's making some sense. And then John Collins on the Atlanta side would probably have to be my favorite option. You can also make an argument with no Cam Reddish now. Bogdanovich on the wing, certainly going to get a lot more shot volume. He's only 5'3". He's put up 36 and 29 DraftKings points the last couple times out. Can be a little bit scoring reliant, but can shoot the 3-ball very, very well, which obviously pays off big for you in your tournament lineups. So I do think that he is an intriguing option to be going to on this slate tonight. Next game on the slate, we have Cleveland taking on the San Antonio Spurs. This game, as far as a total, comes in right now with a total of a 220.5 over-under. 4-point spread in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Going to be a decent spot for sure to be going to. It should be a pace-up spot for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The San Antonio Spurs do like to play fast. It's a 108 implied total for the Spurs, 112 for the Cleveland Cavs. Going to the highest usage guys on the Cavs. I mean, Darius Garland at 7'8", I do think has a bunch of upside here if you want to go there. He put up 50 DraftKings points last time, dropped a triple-double. That's obviously phenomenal for him and at his price tag currently. So if you want to go to a Darius Garland, certainly think it makes sense in the slate. Looking to some other Cleveland guys, you have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley at 7'7" and 7'3". Definitely willing to go to those guys as well. Get some exposure in my lineups to them. And as far as anyone else, I mean, Jakob Poeltl, Keldon Johnson, kind of going to be cutting into each other's usage with these guys returning. We were going to a tons of Jakob Poeltl and DeJounte Murray with this team being so short-handed before. But they're starting to get a little bit more healthy. It's not quite as easy to just be locking these guys in. Bates Diop, Vassell, Brent Forbes, Doug McDermott's returning. So it's starting to be a little bit more clogged up. I think Doug McDermott at 3'8" is pretty interesting, actually, because I've got him projected for right around 26 minutes. Puts up 0.73 DK points per minute. He can really shoot the 3-ball if he gets hot in this spot. Does grade out as a pretty interesting play for me. I don't know if it's really necessary for us to have to go there with all this other value we talked about opening up, but he's definitely someone I wanted to just at least talk about because he can shoot the three ball really well when he gets hot. And if he does, you can certainly be really happy in your tournament lineup. So Doug McDermott going to be interesting for me. Houston taking on Sacramento. The biggest piece of news we're waiting on in this game is Richaun Holmes. He is listed as questionable. Obviously, if he's in or out, that's going to certainly impact this rotation for the Sacramento Kings. So we will be keeping our eyes on that one for sure. We already got confirmation that Tristan Thompson was ruled out with an illness. So Tristan Thompson will not play tonight for that reason. Obviously, we're going to have some more solidified minutes in the front court to a guy like a Marvin Bagley, to a Maytu, to an Alex Len. All three of these guys are kind of cutting into each other's usage as is, though, in minutes. So it's a little bit dicey. I mean, Alex Len, Maytu, Marvin Bagley are already cutting in. Now we have a possibility of Richaun Holmes returning. We saw Marvin Bagley play 30 minutes last time out. So if Richaun Holmes is out again, Marvin Bagley, I would certainly be willing to get a lot of exposure to. And I do think that Richaun Holmes could be an interesting tournament option if he does return in this game. They reportedly sent him back down to the G League to get his conditioning in, and they've been kind of taking their time with him getting back. So I tend to think he's going to come back at full speed. Maybe that's a wrong assumption on my part, but I mean, being that he got some running down with the G League team, I think that he's going to be in good shape. And this is the fastest paced game on the slate. It's a 240 over-under. It's a 5-point spread in favor of the Sacramento Kings. That's obviously phenomenal. And with that being the case, I mean, I would be willing to get a lot of exposure to Richaun Holmes, especially if he's not getting the recognition that he deserves. Even if he doesn't have the greatest big game in the world, I mean, like as far as minutes, I still think he can get there at that price tag, and it's such a fast-paced game. So he's someone I'd willingly be getting exposure to. Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, both priced in the mid-5K range. Once again, both guys. I mean, Harrison Barnes, 38 minutes last time, going to play a bunch of minutes. Phenomenal play in this spot. Love targeting the Houston Rockets defense. Same can be said for Buddy Hield, big upside spot. Not quite as reliable as Harrison Barnes when it comes to the minutes. And then you have Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox as your pay-up options on the Sacramento side, which I really like them. High usage, high up-tempo spot. They should be able to have a ceiling spot here. And the same can be said for the two high-usage guys on the Houston side of things. Kevin Porter, Christian Wood. Christian Wood's my favorite play from this game by far. Put him on the thumbnail. Actually, no, I put Kevin Porter Jr. on the thumbnail, but both those guys I like. But Christian Wood would be my favorite play of those two. And I really like him the most out of anyone in this game. But you could be getting a lot of exposure. I certainly would have no issues with you taking some punts to a Jayshawn Tate and Eric Gordon as well. I mean, this game is crazy fast. 240 over-under is ridiculous. We really haven't been seeing very high totals in today's NBA. So take advantage and certainly be getting some exposure to this game. And those would be my favorite options. But just a really, really good spot to be getting exposure. And the last game, we have Dallas taking on Memphis. Nationally televised games. Kristaps Porzingis continues to be out. Dylan Brooks continues to be out. That's going to be a bump up, certainly, for the two studs. Ja Morant, Luka Doncic in a fast, not exactly a fast game, but decently paced game. It's a 217.5, but it's expected to stay close, is what I'm really concerned about. So I think that Ja Morant and Luka Doncic's ceiling could really be high here. We saw Ja Morant exit with a back injury last time out. Went to the locker room but came back at halftime and played the rest of the game. So I tend to think he's fine. He should be good to go here. And as far as Luka Doncic at 10-9, hasn't exactly had that huge Luka Doncic game too often as of late. But I mean, you say that and you look at the games. He put up 45, 64, 48, 62. Still getting the job done in a really efficient manner. And some of these games have been blowouts. Last time out, 45 points in a blowout. Time before, he put up 64. That game ended in a blowout. The time before, 48, that game ended in a blowout. The time before, I mean, 10 points isn't exactly the worst blowout, but still, that game got away. So I do think this is a pretty intriguing play for both of these studs. And then when you factor in that there's no Kristaps Porzingis, that actually does bump up Jalen Brunson quite a bit, believe it or not. He's second in line in usage, so I like him a lot more when there's no Kristaps Porzingis. And then Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to take a big hit with Steven Adams returning. So Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably going to be one of my top fades on the slate tonight. He's seen his price tag really come up. I like Desmond Bane a lot more at 6'8", with there being no Dylan Brooks. Should continue to get a lot of shot volume. We saw him shoot 12, 14, 14 the last 3 times out. I really could see this guy shooting 20 times eventually in one of these games when he does get hot. And when he does, he can fill it up real quick. So I think Desmond Bane is a fantastic tournament play that I'd certainly be willing to get some exposure to in this one. So yeah, guys, that's a good DraftKings breakdown. If you have any questions, please ask in the chat. Franz Wagner or Cade Cunningham on FanDuel. That's tough. Cade Cunningham's really cheap over here, so I'd probably have to go with him. Yeah, Cade Cunningham's 6K. Franz Wagner's 5'9", but I really like Franz Wagner because he's in that fast up-paced game for the Orlando Charlotte, and I love targeting Charlotte. So I'll go with Cade just because he's a better fantasy point producer and he gets more usage. He's a starting point guard, but I really like Franz Wagner as well. All right, guys. Let's talk about some FanDuel here. So, we talked about DraftKings. We're going to talk about FanDuel. A lot of this stuff is kind of the same, but there's definitely some pricing discrepancies. One we just talked about right there, Cade Cunningham. He's just way too cheap over here. Jordan Poole, Dennis Schroeder at 5'1" and 5'3", I think are both really great value plays over here. We talked about Jordan Poole getting a bump up with there no longer being any Klay Thompson in the equation. There's no Draymond Green. There's no Gary Payton, so he gets a big bump up. And then we talked about Schroeder with there being no Marcus Smart. Both guys priced pretty low, 5K range. Both produced at a pretty high rate, both getting a bump up in usage. So those are two guys that stand out to me right off the bat at the guard position. Scotty Barnes at 5'6" and OG Anunoby at 6'2". Scotty Barnes is still listed as questionable, but I do think these Toronto guys become really interesting in the mid-range. With there being no Gary Trent Jr. now, they should get even more usage and more minutes. OG, Scotty Barnes, both going to play a lot of minutes. Both produce at pretty decent rates here. We haven't seen OG Anunoby really have a big game, and I think it's just a matter of time before he does. I mean, the only problem with this game is does it stay close? It had a pretty large spread here. With Gary Trent Jr. being ruled out, I'm wondering if it changed. It was a 9.5 in favor of Toronto. Let's look at the latest and greatest if I refresh my page here. Yeah, still 9.5. So, but you'd want to be expected to be started. I just think that bumps up OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and Fred VanVleet even more. And I think that OG and Scotty Barnes specifically are priced very, very friendly over here. So I'd be willing to get a lot of exposure to them on FanDuel. Andrew Wiggins at 6K, another guy, we talked about it, the Golden State guys getting a bump up with all these guys being out in their usage. Andrew Wiggins is probably the biggest guy that, like, he really took a back seat when Klay Thompson came back. Now you take him out of the equation. I think that Andrew Wiggins is going to really be able to dominate a lot more usage in this offense, and his price tag is way down now. So if there's ever a time to jump on the Andrew Wiggins train, this certainly does seem like a good time to do so. And then Rashawn Holmes, I think it's a great tournament play. We talked about him at 5'6", and Gordon Hayward at 6'5". I mean, like I said, I'm just wanting to get a lot of exposure to the two fastest-paced games on this slate, guys. If there's two games that really stand out to me, it's the Charlotte Hornets and Orlando Magic game. That game comes in with a 223.5 over-under. It's the Houston Rockets Sacramento Kings game. That game comes in with a 240 over-under. It just makes a lot of sense to be getting a lot of exposure there. I even think the 223.5 over-under for the Orlando Magic Charlotte Hornets game is too low if the game stays close. Really, I think the only way you go wrong there is if the game doesn't stay close. And I think that if you build some lineups that are correlated where you're running it back with those Orlando Magic guys, obviously they're going to have to do good for the game to stay close. And if they do good, it could really pay off for you. So I'm certainly having a lot of interest in Cole Anthony at 7'6" on FanDuel. He'll definitely be a big priority for me. I like Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball on the other side at 7'7", 8K. Terry Rozier's been playing a ton of minutes. He always is pretty good for some multiple steals and blocks per game, which you get 3 points per steal and block on FanDuel. I mean, you look at his game logs, 2 steals, 2 steals, 2 steals the last 3 times out. That goes a long way for you on FanDuel. So I think Terry Rozier, lots of minutes, easy opponent, makes a ton of sense. Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges. So, I mean, I just love this game. And then, like I said, the Houston-Sacramento game's the other game. I love Harrison Barnes, 5'5", Jayshawn Tate, 5'6", Kevin Porter, 5'7". All these guys priced very, very reasonably on FanDuel. And you look at the pace. I mean, this game has a 240 over-under. I can't stress it enough. That is ridiculous. The guys that are playing 30-plus minutes in this game should absolutely go off. And if you look at their price tags on FanDuel, they're really cheap. So, naturally, I would love to get some exposure there. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure that out. But it's, take advantage of it tonight because this game's going to go off. Christian Wood at 7'2", I absolutely love. He might be my favorite play on the slate. I keep talking about him. I don't know. It's tough. I like these two games the most by far, though. Really not too much of an issue going there. And then, like I said, we talked about some of these other guys. I mean, Karis LeVert, now that there's no Malcolm Brogdon, I think he has a lot of upside at 8'2". Certainly should get a big bump up in his usage as the point guard. So I think he's an intriguing play over here on FanDuel. And like I said, with all this news coming out, as I update my projections here, I'll kind of have more insight as to where I'm looking. And let me take a quick look. My latest runs, just seeing who's getting a bump up here. So a lot of these guys we've already talked about, but Robin Lopez just becomes an absolute smash play against a Charlotte Hornets team that's terrible defensively. He's going to get a lot of minutes. He's really cheap on both websites. I'd be getting a lot of exposure to Robin Lopez tonight. Probably becomes my top play of the slate for value. I just think he's going to smash. So love Robin Lopez. And then Jay Crowder gets a lot more minutes solidified with there being no Cam Johnson, so that's something to be interesting. And one guy I think that might be a little bit sneaky that I don't know if people are talking about is Kobe White. We saw Derek Jones Jr. get hurt last game, so it's probably going to be Troy Brown Jr. that's starting in the lineup, but I tend to think the Bulls are probably going to give a lot more minutes in usage to Kobe White than you would think as a sixth man here. I think that Troy Brown fills in, plays a decent amount of minutes, but I think Kobe White actually gets a big bump up here in both minutes and usage. We've seen him playing around like 25 minutes a game, with there being Derek Jones Jr. in the rotation. That last game turned into a blowout. I've got him projected right now to play like right around 30 minutes, so I might have a little bit of a high projection on him, but I'm willing to get a little risky with it. I just think he gets a lot more minutes, a lot more usage, so he's someone that maybe people aren't quite debating on playing, and I think he could have a really big game here, stepping up and taking on more usage. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. Nightmare says, how much would 4 or 5K player need for GPP upside? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you want the most. You want to 7x your players. So Nightmare, I believe you're a premium content member of mine. I don't know if you have the NBA DFS package, but if you do, and you look at that price range, I mean, you can just see who's expected to multiply their salary by the most. So if you're playing on DraftKings, which I'm assuming you are, 4 to 5K, looking at my projection model here, let's go ahead and sort it. Granted, I haven't updated this. This is my other run. But like 4 or 5K range, a good example, I talked about liking Jordan Poole. If you look at my projections, he's projected to, from a base projection aspect, like 6x his salary. With there being no Gary Payton, no Klay Thompson, him stepping back into the rotation, a close game, all that above. He's going to play in the lower 30s to mid 30s in minutes, 0.97 DK points per minute. And I've got him projected as a base projection right now at about 31. So, I mean, that's a phenomenal play. So I guess that's a good answer for you. A guy that's 5K, if he can get you up to, 30, mid 30s, hopefully 40 plus DraftKings points, the better. I mean, I hate to answer it like that. I just don't. You want to play guys that are in a position to obviously give you the most amount of upside. You would prefer for Jordan Poole to go out there and 20x his price tag. You know what I mean? So to me, I just try to put myself in situations where he's going to outperform his price tag. So Jordan Poole is a phenomenal spot. There's no Draymond Green. There's no Klay Thompson. There's no Gary Payton now. His price tag has fallen because his role had adjusted. And now he's going to go back to what his role was before, practically before Klay Thompson returned. And he's only 5K. And if we scroll down to what he was before, when his role was like really prominent, he had gotten all the way up to 6,600. So, I mean, obviously that's a phenomenal play. He's definitely going to be someone that you can be taking advantage of. So it's kind of a long-winded answer, I guess. But, yeah, my answer would be I'm trying to 7x all of my plays in tournaments. And whatever price range they are, I want to make sure that they can 7x their price tag, preferably more if at all possible, obviously. But that's kind of what I have in my head when I'm thinking about these plays. Thoughts on Eric Gordon on FanDuel, AGT says. He's certainly viable in a fast up-tempo game. My problem with Eric Gordon is he's very scoring reliant. Like, if you look at Eric Gordon's last game, he's at 5-4, right? And you look at his fantasy points, and you see, oh, he scored 40 FanDuel points. That was a really good game. And then you look at his game log. He scored 31 real-life points. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. So I'm much more likely to play Eric Gordon on a site like DraftKings, where you get the bonuses for 3-pointers made, and much less likely to play him on a site like FanDuel, where I value blocks, steals, peripheral stats a lot more, rebounds, assists. So Eric Gordon's not really someone I like to play on FanDuel too much when you just grade out the scoring format and everything. So if you want to go there, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's certainly viable. I mean, the guy played 32 minutes last night. He'll probably play around the same tonight. It's a 240 over-under. If he gets hot from the field at only a 5-4 price tag, obviously he could have a great game. So I'm not going to try to talk you off him. Just know he's very scoring reliant. So you need him to probably go out there and drop 28 real-life points. He scored 31 last time. 5-4 is cheap. Don't get me wrong. If he goes out there and puts up 32 or something like that, you wouldn't be disappointed with that. So, but you get my point. A little bit scary when he's scoring reliant. Josh says, what's a good forward for 4,700 on DK? Good forward for 4,700 on DraftKings. Well, let's look at this. 4,700 on DraftKings. PJ Washington is a phenomenal play. He's 4,700 on DraftKings. And he's in that fast up-tempo game taking on an Orlando squad. And there's no Kelly Oubre, so he has more likelihood to get more minutes in this one. And also, Mo Bamba was out. So, I mean, Robin Lopez is kind of a traditional big, so Mason Plumlee still kind of probably fits the mold there, but maybe PJ Washington gets a little bit more minutes off the bench. And if he does, going to be phenomenal. Warriors are going to start Curry, Poole, Wiggins, Porter, Looney. So Otto Porter is getting the start for the Golden State Warriors. Daryl says, who's your player of the night tonight? My player of the night, if I had to pick one right now, I mean, Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez is going to be a phenomenal value play. He's going to play a lot of minutes. He's priced very friendly on both websites. He's taking on a Charlotte Hornets team that's been terrible defensively all season long. And I love him. I think he's a great value play. So he'd probably be my favorite play. All right, guys. Looks like we have 18 people in here. 6 likes. If we could hit that like button, that would be greatly appreciated. Trying to get up to 20 likes on all these live streams. If you're enjoying this content, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. And if you haven't checked the sponsor of the program, Parlay Play, I am going to be giving out picks that will multiply your money by 10x. You will win, for every $25, you will win $250. For every $10, you will win $100, etc. over here on Parlay Play. So if we get that up to over 10 likes, I'll give you my first Parlay Play of the day. You can also sign up for Parlay Play and receive an instant match deposit up to $50 when you use the promo code KJK003 or use my link down below in the description. I'm also going to put that link in the chat right now to help you guys out. But you get that risk-free $10. You get an instant match deposit up to $50. And if you haven't checked out this site, I would highly recommend that you do. We've been doing a bankroll challenge, having a little bit of fun with it. I was really serious at first, and then all of a sudden, we got our bankroll up over $500. And I'll be honest, I've gotten a little crazy with the picks just because I'm willing to get a little bit risky when we have more of a bankroll to go with. So 12 likes now. I'm going to give out my first pick of the day. I really like this. We talked about this game. I already locked this pick in myself, and it is a 4-way pick, $25 to win $250 tonight, and it is the over parlay points for Miles Bridges, Franz Wagner, Terry Rozier, and Cole Anthony. Talked about absolutely loving that Charlotte Hornets game. It's going to be a fast up-tempo game. Both teams are really bad defensively. I really like this pick. You can turn $25 into $250 tonight if you sign up using that promo code or link, and I already locked it in. So going ahead and showing my entries here for the slate tonight right there. Miles Bridges, Franz Wagner, Terry Rozier, Cole Anthony. Over 32.5, over 26.5, over 32.5, over 30.5. Really like this pick tonight for this slate. And I certainly would be willing to lock that in. So that is my first pick, guys. 12 likes. If you want another pick, go ahead and get up to that 20 like mark. If not, still really like this pick. Locking it in, feeling really confident about it. And we are going to 10x our money on this one tonight. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So lock that in. Also, if you didn't know, I do offer premium content. You can sign up for that. That's linked below in the description. I want to make sure that I answer all your questions before I talk about that. But I do offer premium projections, core plays, and a Discord that you can hop in as well. I'll be hopping in there after this live stream. Tap My Life says, favorite point guard and shooting guard pay up. Well, Tat, I know you play on FanDuel, so let's talk about FanDuel. Point guard and shooting guard pay up. I mean, at the point guard position on FanDuel, it's definitely going to be Luka Doncic. He's 10-5. He's in a not a fast, but it's a decently fast game. It's nationally televised. It's expected to stay close. Luka Doncic, he's going to be the top pay-up option for me at the point guard position, hands down. I think Ja Morant in that same game is a great pay-up option. I think Stephen Curry, with all these guys being out, is a good pay-up option, but I do prefer Luka Doncic on FanDuel specifically, and I know that you play there, so I would go with Luka. And at the shooting guard position, I mean, you could play Luka at the shooting guard and then go to like Steph Curry or Ja Morant at the point guard too. So that those would be my top pay-up options. I mean, LaMelo Ball I like a lot. Ja Morant I like a lot. Luka, Steph Curry, but I don't really like Steph Curry on FanDuel for the most part with the scoring format. He's been really struggling shooting. The thing with Steph Curry is if he goes out there and has a great game, I just think that the $500 discount to Luka is probably going to be worth it. Like, let's say Steph Curry outscores Luka by, 5 points or whatever. It's not going to be a big deal because Luka's $500 cheaper, and I think that there's a strong chance that Luka could outscore Steph Curry, so I'll just take the discount on Luka, and those would be my favorite pay-up options. So, Larry says, you like Boucher? I would like Boucher a lot more if Scotty Barnes is ruled out. We don't have confirmation on Scotty Barnes being ruled out yet. And the only guy that was out was Gary Trent, and that impacts the guard rotation a lot more than the forward position. We did see him play 37 minutes last time out, which is definitely something to take note of. But once again, there was no Scotty Barnes or Gary Trent in that one. This time around, there's only no Gary Trent so far. So my answer would be I like him a lot if there's no Scotty Barnes. If Scotty Barnes is ruled in, though, then that's going to be a no for me. And as far as I'm concerned, we haven't got the latest update yet. I mean, he was listed as a game-time decision, and so we don't have that confirmation on Scotty Barnes. So that is my answer. If Scotty Barnes is out, yes. If Scotty Barnes is in, no. Any Tatum love? No. I think it is absolutely crazy to be paying up for a guy in the lowest total slate, lowest total on the slates is what I'm trying to say. English words out of my mouth. English words here, people. Jason Tatum, 9,700. If you're paying up for him on FanDuel or DraftKings, I don't really think it makes too much sense, to be honest. There's so many solid mid-range options we talked about that are getting a bump up. We talked about Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole for the Golden State Warriors. We talked about, those Orlando Magic guys now. We talked about the Charlotte Hornets guys. Like, Jason Tatum could go out there and put up, 40, 50. That's cute and all, but I mean, we have some guys on the Charlotte side. LaMelo Ball, 8K. Terry Rozier, 7'7". Cole Anthony, 7'6". Like, I easily think that those guys could match him. Same can be said for, like, Christian Wood in the Houston game. I really like him at 7'2". So, why am I going to spend my money on Jason Tatum? That's just kind of my approach. I do think he'll be contrarian, so if you want to go there, if you see something that I'm not seeing and you have a strong take on it, I'll support that. But honestly, I don't think it's the smartest in the world. Other than an ownership play, you'll get him low owned, and that could pay off for you in your tournaments. But on paper, don't really like him. Daryl says, do you like Levine? I like Levine a lot more on FanDuel, where his price tag's a lot cheaper. So I don't know if you're playing on FanDuel or DraftKings, but I'd be willing to get more exposure on FanDuel because he's only 7.2 on FanDuel, whereas DraftKings has him priced up a lot more to 8.4. 8.4 is still respectable. We've seen his price tag come down from 9.4, so yeah. I think he's viable on both websites. I like him a lot more on FanDuel. Josh says, Crowder good play. Yeah, Crowder is a good play. Now that there's no Cam Johnson, he's going to have a lot more minutes. So, we saw the guy play 35 last time. He could play 35, if not more, this time around. So, I do think that Jay Crowder is a good play. Yes. He's kind of more of a cash game play most times. He had a big upside game last time out, but typically he's just pretty consistent, solid, but doesn't do anything too crazy. So, personally, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't like Jay Crowder because Jay Crowder is one of those guys for me, like, he has haunted me over the years. Two of the guys on this team have haunted me the most. I mean, I've been playing NBA DFS since 2016, and don't get me wrong, I try not to be biased because every time, you got to trust the projections, you got to trust the over-unders. You can't have grudges with players, or it's not going to treat you well. But I would be lying to you if I said that I am a fan of playing Chris Paul and or Jay Crowder in NBA DFS because both of those guys, they just do not treat me well, man. You have the guys you just seem to nail, and you have the guys you miss. I just don't like playing Chris Paul and Jay Crowder. I don't like it. I do it still because I try not to be biased, but I do not like playing those guys, man. They get me. Tap My Life says best low salary player at shooting guard under 4,500 on FanDuel. I'm guessing. I mean, the 4,500 play for me would be Trent Brown Jr. He's gonna get the start now for the Chicago Bulls. There's a couple guys actually though. Trent Brown Jr. would be the first one at 4,500 because I was checking out these FanDuel salaries earlier at 45, and then also I do think that Cody Martin could be an interesting play at 4.3. Andre Iguodala at 4.3. And then Damian Lee at 4-1, I expect to get a bump up with there being some of those guards out. There's no Gary Payton, etc. Those would be the guys I'm mainly looking to. If you're asking me to pick one of them, they're all kind of close, to be honest. I'd be cycling them in. I don't know. I mean, Troy Brown, it's going to be interesting. This is going to be his first game starting, so I don't know how many minutes the Bulls are going to give him. I've got him projected for not that many minutes, I don't think. So I'd be cycling through those guys. I don't really have a strong take on which one's my top one. Halliburton, yeah, I think Halliburton's a great play. I think anyone in that Sacramento-Houston game has a lot of upside. So Larry says, 8,600 left for forward. Who should I pick, DK? 8,600? Let's see. 8,600 on DraftKings. I mean, DeMar DeRozan's staring me in the face. If you have 8,600, I really think he makes the most sense. Either DeMar DeRozan or Miles Bridges. But of those two, I think I would go with DeMar. I mean, Miles Bridges is in a really fast up-tempo game, but DeMar DeRozan's just been really, really good this year, man. He's producing at a really high rate. 8.6, pulling up the sheet I have here for my DraftKings projections. He's putting up 1.2 DK points per minute. That's just really solid. 5,500 for power forward. On DraftKings. I'm hoping you're on DraftKings. Jimmy Butler's on track to play, so that news just came in. 5,500 for power forward on DraftKings. If you guys tell me the site, it really helps me out. If you're DraftKings, Harrison Barnes, not even a question, and he's 5,500 on FanDuel as well. A fast up-tempo game, taking on Houston. They're terrible defensively. His minutes are really solid. Lock him in. Love it. All right, guys. If you have not seen, I do offer a premium package over here on Patreon. I have an NBA DFS premium package and a KJK DFS Discord package. You can hop in the Discord for only $1 throughout the entire month of the January. Given a New Year discount. Also check out the KJK DFS NBA package. If you're getting very serious about NBA DFS, would highly recommend this. You get all of my core plays, my projections, and if you haven't seen my new video, how to win money playing NBA DFS using KJK DFS premium content tools, I would suggest you watch it. If you need a little bit of a sneak peek behind the paywall, I'll kind of walk you through what my tools provide, all that fun stuff. So, check this out, guys. If you are interested, I'm going to leave it on the screen just so you can kind of read all of what it has to offer. But, yeah, check it out, guys. DeMar Bridges, DK, got it. Josh says, already have him, need someone different for Harrison Barnes. I mean, 55. I wouldn't be going to marketing. Jayshawn Tate would be my next guy. He's in that same game, fast up-tempo game, Houston. I mean, I just want to be loading up on those fast up-tempo games. It makes so much sense to be doing so. AJT says, would you play Harrison Barnes over Scotty Barnes FanDuel? I would, yes, because I'm willing to bank on... I mean, Scotty Barnes is going to be a great play, but I'm just willing to bank on Harrison Barnes having more upside in a 240 over-under rather than a 212.5 over-under. Could Scotty Barnes outscore Harrison Barnes by a large margin? Yes, but I'm taking the guy in the 240 over-under game every time. It's just like that's a really good fantasy point environment. So, all right, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here in about 5 minutes. Before I do, just want to remind you guys, check out the parlay play. Lock in this pick tonight, guys. We have the over for Miles Bridges, Franz Wagner, Terry Rozier, Cole Anthony. It's a $25 10x pick. If you place this for $25, you will multiply your money to $250 tonight. Use that promo code KJK003 when you sign up today. And let's win some money over there on Parlay Play. So check it out. Anthony coming in. What's going on, Anthony? Who's your favorite spend up, and what's your thoughts on Sabonis tonight? I think Sabonis is a much better play with there being no Malcolm Brogdon. My favorite spend up on this slate tonight. Let's see. I'm assuming you're playing on DraftKings. My favorite spend up on DraftKings. I mean, my favorite spend up tonight is going to be Luka Doncic. I think Luka Doncic just absolutely crushed. It's nationally televised, taking on a Memphis squad in a game that's expected to stay close. I think Luka goes out there and crushes tonight. So Luka would be my top spend up option by a pretty wide margin. I mean, Steph Curry gets a bump up in usage at 10-6, but I think that Luka outperforms him tonight. It is a little different on FanDuel because Luka's cheaper, but I still lean Luka. And yeah, he's going to be my top spend up. 13 likes, guys. If you enjoyed this stream, hit that like button. Trying to get that up to 20 likes on every one of these streams. Thank you for tuning in. Also, if you don't follow me on social media, I would really appreciate it. I would really like to, I think I really want to start doing some live streams and stuff on TikTok, and it's kind of a weird platform to bring into DFS. You need 1,000 followers. Right now, I have like 30, so if you guys wouldn't mind spreading the word about my content, if you enjoy it, and giving me a follow over there at KJK_DFS on TikTok. Right now, I've just been posting my lock of the night. Kind of boring. I feel like I got to get kind of more involved over there. Do some more live streaming stuff. Maybe, do some more interactive, like, question answering. Maybe I can just even do some live streams where I'm answering questions about DFS strategy and stuff. But I wish I could start live streaming over there right now. I would just have my phone and be live streaming to TikTok and YouTube, but you need 1,000 followers. So if you guys could help me out with that, that would be great. If you'd be willing to recruit some friends to follow me as well. So I don't really know how I'm going to go about that. But I think it's a cool idea. I think if I kind of start going on that platform a little more, it could be fun. And it's something different than YouTube. So would greatly appreciate it if you guys follow me over there. Follow me over on Twitter at KJK_DFS. That's where you mostly will see most of my content. DFS mainly relies on Twitter. I do have Facebook and Instagram as well, though. So check me out on all those social platforms. If you're enjoying my content, do greatly appreciate it, guys. Daryl says, I play tiers on DK. That's why I asked DeRozan or Bridges, LOL. Okay, well, in that case, I mean, I'll double check for you, but I can pretty much guarantee you I'm going with DeRozan. Based on my projections, DeMar DeRozan, Bridges. Yeah, I mean, I'm going DeRozan. If you're playing tiers, I don't really play tiers, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just raw scoring, right? Like whoever scores more points in a certain tier, you're just picking based upon the price tag, and you want the guy that scores the most. I believe that's how tiers works. I don't play tiers, never have, but I don't think there's like a multiplier metric or anything like that. So correct me if I'm wrong, but if that's the case, I'll go with DeRozan there for sure. Larry says, what's your low-priced power forward pick, DK? Low-priced power forward on DraftKings? Let's see here. Before I let you go, I'll answer this question. Low-priced power forward. I mean, Otto Porter, now that he's starting, he's 4,700. He grades out as a pretty good value. But I do think that DeAndre Hunter is pretty interesting. He's only 3-4. We saw him return last time. Played a decent allotment of minutes. And that's just a really, really cheap price tag for a guy that traditionally would be a starter on this team. He played 24 minutes his first game back. I'd expect that ramps up a few more minutes tonight. And he's only 3-4. Like, he could easily go out there and put up 30 DraftKings points tonight if he plays efficiently while he's out there. And if he does at that price tag, you're going to be very, very happy. All right, guys. I'm probably going to bounce out of here. If there's any more last-minute questions, I'll hang around for another 60 seconds. If you want something if you really want a question answered, please do ask it. I'll help you out. If not, probably going to bounce out of here. Update my sheets, projections, core plays. If you want to head over to patreon.com/KJK_DFS and sign up today, that would be awesome. Offering that discount on the Discord as well throughout the entire month of January if you want to check that out. Sign up on Parlay Play using that code KJK003 and lock this pick in. You can also use my link down below in the description. Receive an instant match deposit up to $50. You will also receive a risk-free $10 to play with when you sign up using my promo code today. So check all that fun stuff out. I'll put that link in the chat before I head out, those two things. But just so you know, those links are all down below in the description box of all my videos to make your life easier. Wish you all the best of luck tonight, and I'm going to head out of here. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you in the next one.